Greetings, all. My name is Bob Davis, and I'm the co-owner of SoulPatrol.com. I want to thank everybody for coming to tonight's presentation. And tonight we're here to go through the legacy of Luther Vandross. We're going to do a career retrospective, and we got some special guests. But before we get into that, what I want to do is go ahead and introduce you to our sponsor. We actually have a sponsor tonight. So, Mr. Producer, can you please roll the sponsor? So, as you all saw, our sponsor is a company by the name of Biz.info, and they're an online company. And if you have a business, we would strongly advise you to get your business listed there. It's free, and we're very happy that we actually have a sponsor. So go and check them out. Tonight we're gonna go through and do a career retrospective on Luther Vandross. Now, unfortunately, as you all know, Luther Vandross is no longer here with us. So what I tried to do is to do the next best thing. We've been wanting to do something on Soul Patrol and Luther Vandross for a while, and this is our first opportunity to do so. So what we have are three guests who have long been associated with Luther Vandross, and I'm going to let them tell you more about that. We've got ladies first. We've got Paulette McWilliams, we've got Kevin Owens, and we've got Jason Miles. And I want each one of them to introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves, and tell them how you can make sure that you tell the people how you came to work with Luther. So why don't we start with you, Paulette?
Okay, hi everyone. Hey Bob, thank you for having me. This is very special. Luther and I go all the way back to before Never Too Much. We met when I became a harlot with Bette Midler. I was singing, being one of the harlots with Bette Midler, and Luther actually, we met during rehearsal. He was singing backup for Bette Midler also, and he was actually behind the curtain, so to speak. We said behind the curtain. So when we were out there dancing, everyone in the audience, they also heard Luther singing with us. And that's when he and I met. We became fast friends, talking vocals all the time. As a matter of fact, even though I didn't go on the road with him right after Bette, I started recording with him immediately after that. I was on Forever for Always for Love, and every album since Forever for Always for Love, I sang on every single one. I was part of the core recording group for Forever for Always for Love, and also there was another core recording group that came after Sissy began to, actually she wasn't singing as much, and Cindy Mizell joined that recording group. It was pretty much the same people, except we added in Cindy Mizell. But it was Fonzie Thornton, Tawaka A.G., Brenda White King, Sissy, and myself. Also in LA, it was Myrna Smith and myself. Luther always used me. I was pretty much singing on everything. And then in 1984, after my tour with Marvin Gaye, singing the duets with Marvin Gaye, Luther asked me to come on the road with him. And that's how I started doing the road stuff with Luther, the road touring with Luther. But I was on a couple of albums before the road tour even. And he and I were always talking vocals. And I know he counted on me a lot. He let me know that, he told me that in so many words, to be the vocal, to be kind of the stabilizer in the vocals for the recordings and also on stage. And that's how we met. And he would say that my voice sounded the most like his in a female. So that's how we met.
Cool. Cool. So just as a way of introduction also, I want the folks out in the audience to know a couple of things. Number one, if you have any questions as we go along, my brother Mike is in the chat room, and you just throw the questions out there to him, and he'll pass them along to me, number one. But number two, just want you to know that these people that we have here tonight, these are not just mere background people. All of these people are heavy duty people, and you all need to know that. And so, Paulette, why don't you just in 30 seconds or less give the audience your whole career.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Wow. I don't even know that. But okay.
25 left.
Well, I've been singing since I was 2. I've been singing before, and I could speak in full sentences. I've been singing ever since. I've had the blessing of singing with everybody. I can think of people that they don't name on my discography, Dolly Parton, Jody Watley, just so many people. I mean, I have a discography that is long and extended. However, there are names that are not even there. I've been blessed with that. Recently, I did Michael Bublé, and I've just been singing all my life. But I also am a soloist, because background singing is truly an art, and Luther and I talked about extensively. But I'm also a soloist, and I've been doing shows. Luther would come see my shows, and I've been singing jazz since I was a little girl. And I'm now with my 4th album, which is actually my first album, very much in my heart, is called A Woman's Story, and it's doing extremely well. I've been in the charts for, gosh, at least about 16 weeks now. I'm doing really well. And I'm on iHeartRadio, I'm on Sirius, and they're playing all the songs. I tribute Luther on that album. I sing So Amazing. I also tribute Donny Hathaway, which I used to jam and sing with him because I was the original singer in Ask Rufus, and that's how I met Donny. I also tribute Marvin Gaye because I did all the duets with Marvin Gaye on his last tour, and he introduced me, and all that stuff is on YouTube. Hello, goodbye.
just to give you a small idea, Paulette was the original lead singer from Ask Rufus, and Chaka Khan replaced her.
Yes.
Enough said.
Yes.
Kevin, your turn.
Wow. I love you, Paulette.
I love you too.
That's my sister. My name is Kevin Owens, and I'm a resident from New York City, New York, Amsterdam houses, and a graduate of the High School of Performing Arts. Been singing all my life. Yeah, right, Bob. Been singing all my life, and I went to the service, got involved. I was a field radio mechanic, but my last 2 years I got involved in special services. I put together a show for the bicentennial, 1976, which is 1776. Army did a big show. I did that, came out, got involved in many groups. After that, got involved with a group called Revelation on Handshake Records, which was a subsidiary of Sony, Benny Diggs from New York Community Choir. Then from there, I went to Ray Goodman and Brown. And then from Ray Goodman and Brown, I got the call from Luther Vandross to come. And Luther had been kind of watching me when I was in the group Revelation. because Benny Diggs and Philip Ballou. Philip Ballou actually was the background, the male background on stage for Luther before I came. And Luther and Philip and I were in Revelation together, but Philip went to him, and then when Luther left, Luther called me to come in, and uh, and that's how I met Luther. So but he had been watching me behind the scenes for quite a while, doing a lot of studio work around New York City. That's where I got to know, I didn't meet Paulette yet, but I was getting to learn the background click because I was being pulled in, knowing Benny Diggs, knowing Luther, knowing Fonzie, knowing all of those people. So that's how I got pulled in, and that's how Luther and I met. And then 1985, I got the call from Fonzie. Hey, Kev, Luther's been looking at you and he wants you to come join his entourage. But at the time, I was lead singer of Ray Goodman and Brown. I had replaced Harry Ray. So I went to Alan Billy and asked him, I said, hey, man, Luther's asking me to come out. And, da, 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 da. And at that time, Harry was trying to come back. So Harry had come back to the group. There was four of us on stage for quite a while. And then, Alan, Billy, and Harry said, hey, man, you young, do your thing, but this is always your spot. You were still a lead singer of Ray Goodman Brown. This is your spot. Boom. And that's how we hooked up.
So, and again, just, Kevin is being kind of modest. I mean, to me, him being the lead singer of Ray Goodman and Brown, that just knocks me over because, as you all know, Ray Goodman and Brown, they used to be called the Moments when I was a teenager, and they were actually my favorite slow jam group. So
mine too.
and so some of you might recall that Ray Goodman and Brown were sponsors of Soul Patrol. It's really Kevin that brought them to us because, and I'm not telling no tales out of school, but they're kind of technologically challenged. And so Kevin was able to convince them, Al Goodman and Billy Brown, of the advantage of being involved with Soul Patrol. And so, I always thank Kevin for that. I've been knowing Kevin for about 20 years. Doesn't seem that long, but it's about 20 years.
That's right.
So, Jason, it's your turn. You're up.
Hey, okay. I'm Jason Miles, and I am a music producer, keyboardist. I've been doing this now 45 years, and one of the things that started me to, be able to have a career was my interest in electronic keyboards back in the 70s. And when I came back to New York, there were all these amazing piano players. When I came back home, I was from Brooklyn, New York. I was born in Brooklyn. I came back to New York to pursue my vibe in music. And I got back there, and the players were just incredible. But I was really into electronic keyboards. And as much as people were discouraging me, telling me that wasn't going to happen, there's too many great people that I admire.
Yep. Sounds like we lost Jason.
Oh, you lose me?
There you go. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay. So anyway, I started getting into electronic keyboards. I met everybody. Joe Zavino became a good friend of mine, and met Chick and Herbie and all of these guys that were really on the cutting edge. And so basically, one of my claims to fame was that I was one of the first guys in New York to really go and put synthesizers on records, for real, not just like a guy that came, somebody that actually knew what they were doing.
Wait a second. You're going too fast. Stop. Chick Corea, Return to Forever, Joe Zawinu, Weather Report, and Herbie Hancock, The Headhunters.
Right.
I mean,
right. Okay.
Richard T. I was listening to, but Richard was playing the Fender Rhodes, which the way that I love that. But what really happened was, like I was building up my vibe and everything like that, and one day, like a cat called me up. Kenny Kirkland called me up and said to me, because we were good friends, said to me, "Hey man, what are you doing on Thursday?" I'm going, "Nothing. I got this Japanese record date, man, and they want me to play synthesizers." And I'm going, "Okay, what's the problem?" He goes, "Well, I can play them, but I don't know how to use them." And I said, "Wow, what do you want?" He goes, "Bring your synthesizers to the studio. Let's do the session together." So I did, and Japanese people, they loved it. And Kenny Kirkland said, hey, man, we should do this again. And that was like my first gig that I actually did programming for anybody, you know? And my whole thing was to become a producer. But I had the opportunity because of friends like Michael, the great saxophone player, Michael Brecker, and Lenny White. And, you know, these people were finding out what I was doing and everything. And Lenny told Marcus Miller that he should use me on this upcoming project. And so I went in the studio with Marcus in January of 1985. And I ended up working with him for 10 years. And so after we ended up doing Miles Davis's album Tutu, which nobody knew it was Tutu, it was just a Miles Davis album, which we thought was great. And we didn't know that it was going to become a super classic or anything, you know. We're sitting in the car one night going to our favorite health food store, and after a session, and my wife was there, I went out, and Marcus said to me, you know, I've been telling Kathy, man, that I want to introduce you to Luther, man, because he's ready to make a big change, you know. He doesn't want to go R&B anymore. He wants pop hits, and I think that you can help us get there. And I said, oh, my God, man. So the next thing you know, man, I'm on a plane to Montserrat, British West Indies. I meet Luther, you know. He was like, we're dependent on you, man, you know, to make this happen. And Marcus told me incredible things. I heard you did Miles Davis. So all of a sudden, before I even put down a note, I'm like under the freaking microscope, you know. And in Montserrat, in Montserrat, the first song we cut was so amazing. But after that, you know, we were working, and Nat showed up and everything like that. But so what happened was that how I really got the gig was that we started putting together Stop to Love. And when we were standing in the back of the studio, we had the track kind of put together in that part, you know, you know, the freaking speakers were shaking, you know. The next thing I know, like Marsha Burns comes up to me and tells me, you know, Luther wants you to do the rest of the album. He really wants you to do the rest of the album. And I did 8 records with him from there, you know what I mean? Power of Love, Here and Now. And we wrote Power of Love in the studio. You know, I used to hang with Luther all the time. You know, I learned so much about him. Because you know it's different. You know, like okay, so Paulette's in the studio and everything, but you know it's a short period of time. Well, another, but it's a short period. I'm there 14 hours a day for 6 days a week, every day with these people. You know? And I mean, you really see inside souls and people and what's going on and how we're thinking. You know, I learned a lot about Luther, man. I learned a lot of the dynamics about how to be around him and how to be, you know, keeping the vibe straight and everything. You know, and I had a lot of insight. I write about it in my book, which is coming out, by the way, at the end of this year. Little plug. So what happened, you know, because it had a profound effect on my life. You know, when I started working with Luther, man, I was making a living, okay? But when I got in with Luther, man, the next thing you know, man, I was making some severe money. He was paying me like amazing because, you know what? I was delivering the hits. You know, Marcus and I were like freaking ninjas, man. You know, we would go in the freaking studio. We would freaking just go lethal, man. And we were like the total lethal weapon, man. We knew how to go in there and create interesting vibes, and that's why Luther's records, like Any Love, which I still think is my favorite album, you know. And then Power of Love, you know, and Here and Now. I heard the demo for Here and Now, and it was like, I started laughing. Luther goes, "Well, you think the song's funny?" I said, "No, I think you're going to make a shitload of money on the song. That's what I'm laughing about, you know." Because you think so? I go, "The freaking song's a smash, man. What are you talking about? You know, it was a smash, you know."
And it was.
So I'm starting to get I'm starting to get some questions from the chat room. But before I get to those, why don't we pick up on where I want the three of you to kind of pick up on where Jason is kind of going. Is like, what was it like for you to be working with Luther from your perspective?
Well, let me just finish, and I'll just start there. You know what? We became a family. The whole vibe, from Paulette to Kevin to Lisa Fisher, Nat, doesn't matter, man. We were all in this family, you know, and everybody was associated with each other. It was not a big surprise to see everybody. When we showed up at the studio, oh, look who's hanging out with us today. You know what I mean? You know, it was all like it was everybody who had a participation in it, whether you were live, people would stop by, and we were all a family. Skip. And, you know, Brenda, you know, Sissy would just come to the sessions, but you know what I mean? It was like a real family of Luther. And then there was a very special time from like 85 to 95, because the hits were coming hard and heavy, man. You know? And everybody was there, man. Everybody was there. Luther had everybody pumping, man. You know, the band sounded great. You know, the background singers and everything there were super highlight, you know. Lisa Fisher was on stage. And, who the hell is that? God damn it, she's gorgeous. You know. So I mean, you know, you saw. You know, this is what happened. So that's all I can say. So go ahead.
Oh, wow.
I,
Paulette, you were
I,
gonna start.
I was just gonna say, I learned a whole another level of respect, and of course, I mean, I knew that Luther loved all of us, and like Jason said, we were actually all family. But I also loved how he would, like, he would have a certain group of us. It's like a real family. Some of us he would have doing both things. Some of us he would have like Lisa and Ava. They were his stage babies. I mean, they were the ones, and Kevin, they were on stage with him. He loved that, and he loved the singing, and the movements, and the look that he got with them. They were always on stage with him and helping him to create his vision. And I was kind of behind the scenes. I mean, for a long time, I was in the pit by myself with the band and just basically kind of being there to support the vocal from the pit, with the rest of the guys.
Yeah, but that
And,
was important. That was really important,
Yeah, oh
man.
yeah.
I heard those
of
No,
vocals
course,
all the
I'm
time.
saying
That
that,
shit cut
I'm
right
yeah,
through.
yeah,
saying
yeah.
Nobody
that it was.
cut that, man. There was no
Absolutely. Oh
sound
no,
around that.
believe me. That's what I love. I mean, at the
Mm.
time, I kind of boohooed because I wanted to be on stage because, he had said, well, you're going to be on stage, but then it kind of changed and it was all good because I knew it was basically, I was short. I mean, those girls are like 5'7". I'm 5'3". So he wanted a certain look and he
Yeah.
deserved to have what he wanted. And I loved him for his commitment to his vision. It was absolutely superior
Yeah.
professionalism to me. And I
Correct.
feel that, yeah, and I feel that me doing my part, he would always come me or call me late at night or early in the morning, Letty, I want you to do that, that, and that, because you heard that, that, and that. And, I want you to do this. And I would do a lot of double parts with him, like Till My Baby Comes Home. I'd sing the double on the verses. On Any Love, I'd sing double with him. I sing double with him on Wait for Love. I sing double with him because he liked the way my voice floated with his. And he had Kevin sing some doubles with him too. But for the most part, I sang a lot of the songs that there were doubles on. I sang the extra parts. And so I just loved his vision. He wanted them on stage doing what they did, singing what they sang. He also wanted the music to be superior. So, I just thought he was so professional at the same time, so loving and funny. Oh my God, he was funny. So there's so many aspects to him
Yeah.
that
Hey,
I absolutely
hey,
loved
hey,
and adored.
Kevin. From your perspective, what was it like working with Luther?
Well, Lady Paulette said quite a bit that I have the same sentiment. It's like he had everyone there for what he needed. And
Yep.
and we all knew what our positions were. Everybody was great, fantastic, professional, and the best of the best anyway. Some can move their feet a little bit better than others. That's all. But right. I like her. I love the way he was committed to his vision and what he expected from us. That the fact that he chose us to be those people that he knew can hold it down exactly like he wanted to. Everybody from Jason, all of us, from musicians. That's why I say, like people talk about they see me, Lisa, and Abel, say they see the stage and the singers, but the guys in the band. I mean, like Jason said, we're family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was somebody
Yep.
when you was in Luther's
Absolutely.
entourage, and everybody was just as important as everybody else. And we just loved on each other. It was a great atmosphere that he created. We loved the professionalism. The bar was high. We were meeting it and making and going above it, and like knew that we all had more to give. Oh man, we were on a heady professional ride at that time,
Yes.
and we were
You're absolutely
unstoppable.
right. You're right. It was very heady. Camping out at
Very
A&M
heady.
Studios for 3 months. You know what I mean?
Come
Staying at the
on,
Sunset Marquis,
what?
the Four Seasons. You know, I mean, getting per
Yes.
diem.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
Getting
like,
great respect from
he
everyone.
took care of business, man, for the people. We were
he
loyal.
sure did.
And we were loyal
And
because he
while
was loyal to us and he took care of
yeah,
us, man.
he sure
Because he
did.
knew, I mean, he
So,
wanted, the thing about him the thing to realize is that, yes, he was like a superstar, and I held him in that regard. But when we were in the room together, all of us together, it really wasn't like, Luther's a superstar. It was like, Lou,
No.
what's going on, man? You know what I mean? Jason, please, man. I'm right in the middle of all my children.
So-
Don't worry about it. Just go. I mean, it was just like Luther, man. You know what I mean? You had to go and put your head into a place where, like, he's a freaking major cat here, man. And I'm working for him, and I got to show the respect and all that other stuff because I did, and I understood that, who I was working for and where I was. I always considered myself low man on the totem pole of the upper echelon.
Yeah, but
So-
let me just say this, Bob, but let me just say this real quick. But like
go
Jason,
ahead, Kevin.
just real quick, but just like Jason was saying, how you approach Luther. Luther didn't like I'm gonna say a punk either. If you had something, he appreciated us as people. If we had a problem, if there's something we need to say it. Don't be no wimp. He hated wimps.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just want to say, yeah, Jason, it's very important
That's
how you did that.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
because
And I
he's
had-
from New York.
The Wickham House,
Hold-
he would come up with some.
hold-
He'd come up with some crazy stuff, man. I just got to tell you this, just how he associated his childhood in New York with everything. We were there one day, and a record company guy at Columbia got fired, Al Teller. And I said, Luther, man, look, Al Teller got fired, man, from Columbia. But they gave him $7 million, man. I said, he could just go to Hawaii and just live forever. And he goes, I don't think that would happen. I'm going, why? But, well, I don't think that Mrs. Teller wants to move into the Wickham housing projects, he says, And I'm like, how did you come up with that, man? You know what I mean? Wickham housing projects, It was like 1965, He always had that, like, thing that related to, like, Motown in the 60s.
So-
or something.
Luther
He
was
always had an
funny.
analogy with that era.
I'm gonna cut you guys off just for a few minutes because we're starting to get a backlog of questions from the chat room. So I want to get some of those out, and then we'll come back to your individual things. So Angela Spence wants to know if "Give Me the Reason" was really Luther's favorite song.
Wow.
Can I answer that?
Go ahead, Paulette.
He many favorite songs. I don't think that was
Really?
his favorite song. I think that was all of his songs were favorites of everybody, but Luther had some great songs that, to me, like I Want to Love, Want to Have, Want to Hold You, Girl, Make Me a Believer, Better Love. He had songs that were his favorite songs that maybe weren't even as popular as Give Me the Reason. But yeah, of course, all of the songs that he put in his shows were songs that he absolutely loved. So I guess in that way, it was one of his favorite songs. But I can't speak to, I don't know if Kevin or Jason can, but I can't say that that was his only favorite song out of all the amazing songs that he did.
His favorite song was the one he was working on at that time.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I agree.
Okay.
His favorite song, I mean, when we
Okay.
were doing Power of Love, his favorite song was Start Today. Until they wrote Power of Love in the studio, then it was Power of Love was his favorite song.
Gonna start today. Yeah.
Good song. Yeah.
So we got a bunch of questions here for you, Kevin, and they're all about Ray Goodman and Brown. So I'm just going to combine them. I'm going to combine them all, and just ask if you can give us 60 seconds on Ray Goodman and Brown. And,
All right.
go ahead, Kevin.
What's the question?
Well, I'm just kind of combine them. Like, how are you still with them? Are they still together? What are the future prospects for Ray Goodman and Brown, et cetera, et cetera?
Okay, great. I just needed a starting point. Yeah, because as you know, Al Goodman and Harry Ray have passed away, and the existing Ray Goodman and Brown was Billy Brown, original, myself, and Larry Ice Winfrey. Ice came in when I went to Luther in '85. Ice came in as a supporting vocalist, and then was moved up to the front line as time went on. So at present, though, Reagan and Brown, as the world has known it, is not together. So, but Ice and myself have decided to go on and just to continue the legacy of Reagan and Brown. We all have 40-something years in that. It was a great part of our lives. It's unfortunate that the group is not together right now, but we're going to continue the legacy. I have a new album coming out called Hotspot. I've been working on that. Reagan Brown, the legacy of Reagan Brown, has been working on some new product. We're now working with a gentleman from Chicago, Marzette Griffith, who was singing with the Shy Lights. He was one of the vocals that the Shy Lights brought in to, sing it. So now he's singing with the legacy of Ray Goodman and Brown. So Larry Ashman, Kevin Owens, and Marzette Griffith. We're going to continue the legacy. So that's what's going on, y'all. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to have to do something in the future with you guys.
Oh yeah.
So let's keep that in mind. Let's see. Somebody out there wants to know why I have a coat on, and I have a coat on because it's cold. That was our friend Scott Galloway.
Scott, what's happening, man?
Scott.
Shout out to Scott.
Here's a question. I'll throw this at you, Jason. This is from Courtney Johnson. She wants to know what Luther Vandross was such an eclectic singer. What genre of music do you think he would be performing if he was still around today?
He producing the same. He would still have a foothold in the R&B thing. That's what he was. He was able to go and transition into the pop vibe because he understood how to do that. I mean, it's so unbelievable with somebody like 1984 when he did the night, or 85 when he did The Night I Fell in Love. He thought that was as far as he could really take his pure R&B thing, and he wanted really to cross over. And I just think that if he was around, it would just be an extension of what was happening. Would he be working with the same people? He wouldn't be working with rappers or anything like that. I'll tell you. I mean, he tried that. He tried that for a second with Aretha Franklin. Want to hear a funny story? We were doing this song, "Doctor's Orders," which was one of my all-time unfavorite Aretha songs. I heard that song and I went, "Oh my God, it's a great track!" But oh my God, where'd they come up with this "Doctor's Orders"? With him and Aretha. I said this, but so they're singing the song all of a sudden, and they're going, it would be really great. What? We should put a rapper in the middle of this thing, And I'm going, oh my God, come on. I'm saying this to myself. Oh, come on, man. You know what I mean? And then you're like, and Aretha's going, oh yeah, the kids really like that. And I'm going, the kids have no idea who the hell Luther Vandross is. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? But, are you doing rap for 45-year-old people, which is how old we were back then. You know what I mean? And it was like, he always wanted to try something to see if it worked, and he tried, I mean, he tried different vibes, but the songs were always there. It's just, he really leaned on Marcus on those records a lot, as far as making sure that, because he didn't know a lot about the electric music and synthesizers, and he felt that with Marcus and me in the studio that he had a good grip on it, that it wouldn't get out of hand, or he wouldn't know what to do. And he always said this to me, I know, why I can trust you? Why? Because your stuff doesn't sound like a big accordion. And I said, oh, there you go,
So then I take it, based on what you're saying, you don't think that if Luther was here today that he would be doing gangster rap or country, right?
He'd be on TV selling car shields.
Kevin is shaking his head.
He'd be on TV selling car shield with iced tea. I mean,
I remember when I was when he asked me to take certain plane rides with him, and I'd be sitting next to him, and he was listening to Biggie. There's one thing that Luther was doing, and this was before his last album. He was getting ready, just like Jason said. He was studying, and he was getting to make the transition to keep up, to be Luther, but to make the transition into working with him, because on the last album, remember, he had Foxy Brown, Queen Latifah, Busta Rhymes. He was feeling out, okay, I'm about to do this. and he was listening to Biggie big time. Biggie wasn't, was he? No, Biggie wasn't. But it's just like he was just studying. He was studying. So, I think he would have just made the transition, and he would have still been, like you said, one of the king of R&B. He would have been killing it.
He was very
Because,
smart,
Can I
Luke.
say,
He was
yeah,
very smart.
yeah. And it's his
can I say,
voice. See, Luke, go ahead, Luke.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I think Paulette's trying to squeeze in here.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
please.
Paulette.
I really do feel that he would have been contemporary because I think right along with Bruno Mars and John Legend, Luther would have fit right in.
Oh,
He would
man,
have fit.
right.
I think that he
If
would
What?
Luther
have
was still
been
here, there might not
just,
be a John Legend.
yeah.
He wouldn't
I'm
get
sorry,
the
say
slot.
They,
again.
might, they would be doing songs with him.
But
They
no,
would be
no,
doing songs with him.
I don't agree. I don't want to be one of those people that say, oh, well, no, I think John Legend is brilliant and Bruno Mars is brilliant. I just think that Luther's brilliance would have shined through and he would have had his slot being still the greatest vocalist of all time. I think he would have definitely, made that transition in a way that it was smooth and just Luther, always, always. I think
But
he would
none
have
of
been
those
great.
guys, none of the guys you're mentioning lack one thing. And here's what they lack. They lack the songs. They didn't have the songs. They don't have the songs that Luther had. Luther has songs that are classic, that are still
Different.
classic
I,
songs. You're not
There's
going
a
to listen
difference.
to John
well,
Legend in 20 years, but you're going to still hear Houses Not a Home, Superstar, Stop
I
for
agree.
Love,
I agree.
Dance with
But
My Father.
I also feel like all John Legend's "All of Me" is a great song. That'll last. That'll last
Okay,
through
that's one
time.
song. Luther had
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. No. No. I agree with you. I
You
agree. I'm
know?
not arguing. I'm saying that.
No, I mean,
So
I'm
I'm.
just saying it's still about the songs, and that's one thing. He
Yeah.
had a good ear for that
He wrote
special
great
song.
songs. I mean, so amazing to me. That's why I did it
Oh my God,
on
it's
my
an awesome
record. It's
song.
a
Oh
brilliant
yeah,
song. Oh my goodness.
Court,
I
Yeah.
that was the
love
first
that.
song we
That's
cut. Montserrat was so amazing. That was the first song we cut.
I'm happy to have sung on it. That's all I can
That's
tell
a
you.
great song. I mean, it's really, oh my God, what a great song.
Courtney Johnson and Kenneth Johnson have asked almost the same question. So I'm going to kind of combine them. And basically, they want to know, since Luther has passed away, was there ever any thought to for the group to continue and go out on the road as a tribute band?
Oh, Kevin
Well,
should answer.
there's been a lot of things going on with that. I mean, there's been attempts to do certain things. Right now, what's basically happening now is that
Mm-hmm.
Luther Vita started Vandross.com. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a place where we were able to come together without anybody feeling like, where it's safe, for us to come together, we collaborate, we do projects, up under the Vandross to keep the legacy going. Um, so that's what we basically do. I wrote a book called So Amazing Through the Eyes of Kevin Owens. And I had all intentions of making it a musical, which I am going to do. Um, I'm still working on things like that now. Um, so we all still get together, but on certain platforms. Paulette goes out with Nat. They travel, right, Paulette? I mean, when it was
Well,
when
I
they
do
were
my
able
own
to.
thing. I use Nat
Yeah,
as my
I know
music.
that, but I'm saying I'm talking about us being together, like there's things that we do
Oh
together
yeah.
every
No.
now and then. Yeah.
Well, because I'm on the West Coast, I'm not quite as in the mix with all the rest of the guys. But I mean, they're my family. I love them. It's like one of the members of your family moved to California, so But I'm still very
Well,
much a part of the family, and I think it's an amazing thing. And if they were to do a tribute band, I totally support them. Totally, I
Yeah.
think it would be
So,
but
wonderful.
it's not the same, man. The dynamics between people over the years have changed. And if you can figure out that change, how to bring it all together, because Miles Davis, man, I was at his house one day, and he said to me, Jason, they want me to come to Europe and play Kind of Blue. They'll give me like millions of dollars. I'm going, you got to be kidding me, man. He goes, no, really not. And I'm going, what are you going to do? I'm not doing it. I said, really? He goes, who am I going to bring? you know, if I bring Herbie, he's not the same guy as he was when he played with me in 1962. You know what I mean? You know, that was the moment that was captured as to who was who. You know, at that point, the symmetry was like right there. To create a symmetry, it's like, okay, it could do it, and I'm sure it could sound great. You know what I mean? But and for remembrance and all that other stuff, it's really cool. But the cat that holds it all together isn't there. And you know, and it's nice to do that and everything like that. Because I did a tribute at the Berks Jazz Festival for Luther, you know, with all of these people there that were, you know,
I
all based
remember that, Jason.
you know, on the
Yeah,
East Coast, based on the East Coast, everybody was, you know, and
I remember that.
you know, we did it. The people loved it. Luther's mother was there and everything like that. And so, you know, the music still lives, and that's the most important thing. How do you make that
Absolutely.
music still live? You know, and the whole thing is anybody that I ever hear singing, like I was on the Soul Train cruise, you know. Everybody can try to imitate Luther, but you know, I'm sitting there going, you know,
That's
it's
true.
cool and everything, but
You're the only one.
no, he's not somebody. He's
So,
not replaceable, man.
as a part B to that question, has there ever been a play or a movie about Luther ever been proposed? Do you guys?
No.
Okay, so if we have any screenwriters out there, maybe
It's a good
somebody can
story.
put that together. Maybe
It's a really
somebody can put that together.
Talk to Robin Clark and Carlos, man. They got the early story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you know,
Luther's first songs about writing Bowie.
I think
You know,
something like that, Jason, would need to be a combination of, of more than it's two sides
Yep.
because there's those of us that live the story that other family and people never live. They know nothing about it. So that's why I always thought that would have to be a coming together of minds to do a collaborative work of something like that. And like I said earlier, that's what I'm working toward. And I've always, in my book, at the back of my book, there is a mapped out plan that came from my heart of how I wanted all of us to come back together and do collaborative things because it takes both. Because there's two sides to Luther. You know, yeah.
That reminds me. Before we log off tonight, I want to make sure that each one of you tell the audience your websites. Not right now, but before we log off. Here's another question. This comes from. Hold on. From Perry Thompson. What was the most challenging song for Luther to record?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think
That's a
Power of
question.
Love. For
What?
me, it was
Power,
Power of Love. Yeah,
Power of Love?
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
We cut it 6 times. We cut that track 6 freaking times. Okay,
See?
in a 2-week period. He was changing every other day. He was changing it, and because there was no Pro Tools or anything like that, we had to record it,
Right.
and I had to get down. And that keyboard sound, that big keyboard pad, I had to recreate that thing 6 freaking times. You know, and it was hard. But you know, but it had to be done because the ending wasn't right. Then they wanted another bridge in the middle. Then he wanted this section extended, and you know, he couldn't be there cutting tape. It just wasn't working. We had to recut this track, and you know, it got to be a point where I'm not joking around. The pressure was so heavy because we knew that it was something amazing, that song, you know. But you know, but it had to be like right then. I just called up Kathy one night right before, and I said, Kathy, man, if I drop dead tonight here, man, just send my body home. Don't even worry about my shit. Just send me home, you know. But I'll tell you this much: the night before the break in 1991, or 1990 it was, the break before Christmas break, we were in the studio and I was packing my stuff up and we had to work right before the day of the break. And we sat in there and Luther goes, let's put up a couple of tunes, man. And we put up Power of Love, and Ray had his rough mix there. And listen back, we just all looked at each other and goes, this song is such a freaking smash, man. It's freaking ridiculous, man. The speakers were like blowing up, man. And he sounded really good. This is a scratch demo, you know? And we just left the studio, man, with like big smiles. All right, man, break is ready. This is going to freaking happen, man, you know? And then were you guys were there also? You were there, Kevin, at the 40th birthday party, Luther's 40th birthday party in L.A. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
You know, everybody, Pee Wee Herman was there right before he got busted at the freaking Florida. You know, all the people there. Sylvester Stallone was there. People from Dallas, Linda Gray. It was a trip, man. Paulette was there. Kevin was dancing, the swing dancing with Lisa Fisher at like 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning. I remember this stuff, man. It was,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes that's what I'm saying about the
That's
family
great.
thing.
Okay.
We were all
Wow.
included in everything because it was
yeah,
all like the
yeah,
live
yeah,
family, the studio family.
yeah,
It was all that one group, that all made him what he was. So
absolutely.
give credit to
Yeah.
everybody like that, man, because he wouldn't go out on the road unless he could feel comfortable with people there. He needed to be
That's
comfortable around you to go and to open up and to be himself and not to hide himself, And when he was
yeah,
on the road, you and Kevin and Lisa and Nat, I heard those stories for years. You know what I mean, by and me in the studio, Ray, Marcus, I mean, Luther come in the studio and say, okay, stop. We got to go to the Chinese theater to see Misery today, man. If I don't see that movie,
yeah,
the next showing, I'm not going to be able to work the rest of the day,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we
So
jump in the
funny,
Rolls
yes.
Royce, we drive over to the
Yep,
Chinese theater, and we take the
yep,
afternoon off, and, that's the way he was,
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we. I
Sorry,
forgot
By the
what
way,
we
keep
were.
Perry.
coming back.
By the way,
Go ahead.
Perry is a friend of mine from Twitter who runs an organization called the R&B Preservation Society. So I wanted to give him that little plug.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Here's a question from Stuart Barnes. Stuart wants to know if Luther ever thought about doing a jazz album.
Oh.
Well, he did do
I
Well,
a
think
thing
Luther
with Frank.
hated jazz. I don't think he liked
yeah,
jazz.
he did a Dave Clark.
I
Luther
don't
was
think he
so
hated jazz. Yeah,
no,
He's
he
he
thinking
did
about
that thing
loved
with
it.
jazz.
Frank Sinatra.
Yep,
Yeah,
And
that kind
some,
of stuff. Yeah. But
yeah,
not like
and some of
but
his
Hendrix and
music
Ross.
is now considered to be contemporary jazz. Some of his music
yeah,
is now like
Yeah, I agree
smooth
with
jazz.
you. Yeah.
So I don't. I mean,
yeah,
his stuff was not simple.
yeah,
And jazz is about interpretation, and no one interpreted anything like he did. So he was very
yeah,
much on that line to me.
I
yeah,
don't. I
Mhm.
could
yeah.
not see
I
him
don't
like
think he would have
jazz as
hated
much as
jazz at all.
with that. You know. Like
Even
I've
like
seen
House is
jazz.
not a home. Like the way, sorry,
Yeah,
House is not a home. How it starts, like the
yeah,
Mhm.
do 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 do.
hmm
yeah.
He's like he
hmm
everything was in everything to me.
And
With
creeping,
yeah,
Creeping
yeah,
was great.
creeping.
Oh my
like
God,
When
jazz
that was
he
everywhere.
approached
awesome.
creeping, and the
Um.
background parts, the vocals, the chords that he would give us to sing with one
Woo,
another.
Oh
Come
yeah.
on, let's talk
woo,
about those. That was very jazz oriented. I
Very
don't
whoa,
think
good.
he
That
did
was Nat
yeah,
also. Nat was a genius at understanding how to
yeah.
produce.
That's
That's
right.
Nat's real
the
genius.
harmonics,
Look,
the
Nat
vocals. It
was a
was just
Yeah.
genius.
he
Let's
had
get real over
doing
here. No,
parts
for
that
as
were
whatever
totally,
Nat, as crazy as we love him as he was, Nat, when that music started going around here, he was a freaking
What?
genius. You know, that's all I
Yeah,
can
when he
say.
went like this.
Let me tell you something. You want to hear about jazz and Luther? Okay, I went to the studio one day at Right Track Studios in May of 1990. And I walk in the room there, and all of a sudden I'm going, because they were mixing doctor's orders, and they wanted me to come up and make sure that their stuff was ready. So I walk in there, and he's
Mhm.
sitting there. Miles Davis's right-hand man is sitting there going, wow, Gordon, what's going on? He goes, Miles is in the room over there. I'm going, Luther's in the next room over there. And he goes, yeah, I know, man. Luther and
they
Miles
were
talk to the
friends.
studio. And I was like, wow. So I walked in and said hi to Miles. He was like, oh, we would be friends. I walked and said hi to Luther. I go to the bathroom. I come out. The next thing you know, Luther, Michelle LeGrand, and Miles Davis are all in the lobby talking. Okay? And I'm like, oh my God, man. I need a freaking camera for this one. So at the end of it, it was beautiful, man. It was a great hang. It was just a few minutes, but some beautiful vibes going down. Anyway, Luther goes, Michelle, it's really great to see you, man. I remember we came back to see you at the Olympia in Paris, and I brought some singers. And he goes, no, I don't remember. And he goes, what are you talking about? We had champagne, we had this, we had congratulations. No, I kept on going back and goes, come on, Michelle, please. You remembered it. Miles goes, Michelle, can you freaking tell him that to remember so we can get back to work? That was it.
I have a Luther Vandross Miles story. Okay, because
Okay, go ahead, Paulette.
Luther introduced me to Miles. Okay, Luther and I were hanging out, and it was nighttime. We were walking across 55th. I can't remember. We were walking into a building. He sees Miles Davis, and he said, Letty, watch this. Watch what he says to me. I said, what's he going to say? He's going to say, hey, mother, da, da. I don't want to say it on the air. And sure enough, we walked in the door. Miles looked at him and said, "Hey, mother dada," and we fell out laughing. It was so funny. And he introduces it. So that's my Luther Miles story, because they were good friends. So
Yeah,
I
no.
totally feel like, yeah, he appreciated jazz and everything else.
Yeah.
Got a question from our friend Ujima. Wants to know about Luther's talents for vocal arrangements.
Oh,
Go
can I?
ahead.
Let me just say, let me just say, because I recorded so much with him. Let me just say that there's no one that I've been in the studio with before or since then that comes close to how Luther would arrange his vocals. I mean, he'd hear it in his head. He'd sing the part, each one of our parts to us. And believe me, if we didn't bring it, if we didn't execute it in the way that he wanted, you were out of the picture. He had, his arrangements were always in his head for every single song, from Don't Want to Be a Fool, Give Me the Reason, Stop to Love. He had me singing sometimes with Tawatha, who was a soprano. We did doo-doo, 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 talk about love, right? Then he'd have me singing something Where With the Guys, but he knew where he wanted each voice to be, placement. He knew where he wanted Sissy to do something special. He knew where he wanted me to drop down and do some kind of, whoa, the kind of crazy sound. He knew everything that he wanted to hear. His arrangements to me were uncanny. His vocal arrangements to me were uncanny. No one could touch it. And every session that I ever did after that, every time I walk in, a producer said, "Oh, we hear that you sang with Luther." I got carte blanche because I sang with Luther, because he was so well respected for his arrangements.
Oh,
And
Period.
Paulette,
He's the one who did the arrangements for Irene Cara's Fame.
right.
I'm gonna learn how to fly.
Right.
Hi, I feel it coming together. He did all of that. He did Stevie Wonder stuff. He did arrangements for Stevie. He did arrangements for David Bowie, on the Young Americans. He is, a lot of songs people don't even know about. His arrangements were genius. And if you had Luther background vocals on your stuff, your record was a hit. Period.
It was great.
Well, what's so interesting also? I bet nobody knows what the B-side to Here and Now is. Okay? We went in the studio. It's a long story, but I'm not going to tell. But we were in LA, and we had to do two parts on. He flew me out to do two parts on Here and Now that we were finishing. And Marcus was there. Ray was there. What are we doing here? He comes up to Marcus and says, "Oh, by the way, we need another song to put on the album. Can you write one tonight for me? Coming tomorrow." Well, really? So we go in the studio and everything, and we come up with a tune called Treat You Right. And what Luther wanted from her was, he said, "I got a big hit. I know this is a hit, man, Here and Now. Let's do a hip club tune, man. The hippest sound, the great beats. Come on, give me something really cool." And that was so much fun, because he just left us open at that point. Because that was his area of expertise. He depended on us to give him that groove. So the thing that Paul was talking about to sing is that he knew the groups to have, whether it should be all males or all females, or 2 males and 3 females. Anyway, he had Arnold McCullough bring these 2 guys in with him, and they come in, and there's one guy's looking, looks like he's in shell shock. He's in there with Luther. So I'm singing with Luther. Luther, can you do me a favor? What? Can I call my mother? Can you say hi to my mother for me, please, man? Can you just get on the phone and say hi? Is your son sing with me tonight? Come on, man. He goes, "I'm telling you, man." Okay, all right, call your mother, So we're sitting there, and he called him, "Mom, you're not going to believe this, Mom. I'm in the studio with Luther, man. Luther Vandross, man. Well, he wants to say hi to you. Hold on." Luther, when he was like, not really into it, but he had to do it, "Hi, how are you? So yes, he's going to sing tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes, he's so talented." And he hangs up on the phone and everything. I go, "Okay, you happy?" And he goes, "Can I call my sister?" He goes, and Luther goes, get in the studio. You're lucky you're even here. Get in the studio right now. Okay. Like I said, oh man, when he said that, can you call up my sister? I knew that shit was all over, man.
It's over there.
I have an announcement. No, this is good, I think. The questions have been flowing in here really nice, and the conversation has really been flowing really nice. And so our producer has just informed me that even though we were scheduled to end at 9, that we can go for an extra half an hour if you guys are willing to hang around for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well,
If
let's looking
not,
good
you know.
tonight, man. I'm happy staring at her. You know what I
All
mean?
right.
So what?
Thank
While we're
you.
on the topic of vocal arrangement, one other thing, we're recording this session, so this session will be up on the website whenever our producer, who by the way is my brother Mike, is the producer, uh, puts it together, and we'll have it up so people who aren't here will be able to view this. So while we're on the topic of vocal arrangement, for each one of, well, I guess for Kevin and for Paulette, what was the most difficult vocal arrangement that Luther made you sing?
Good question.
Wow.
Most difficult. Kevin, you go first.
That's a good
Well,
question, man.
I don't know, Paulette. It's like what? Okay, none of it was really difficult. It's just a lot of times it was hearing where he wanted you to be. You know, sometimes it was those dissonant notes that you had to kind of like, okay, I'm hearing it because of how he would like arrange things. But a lot of the challenges for me were when we were at sound check and he wanted to change something for the show that night, and it encompassed some of those notes that Paulette's talking about and those chords. And it's like, okay, and you've been singing something this way for months, and then all of a sudden, let's make a change tonight. We're going to do it tonight. That's when sometimes it got a little. But other than that, in
Yeah,
the studio, it
yeah,
was comfortable. We worked. We got our notes.
yeah.
I can't think of any that was difficult, actually.
You
You
know,
know.
oh, for
Okay,
me,
fair enough.
yeah, for me, it was never challenging because I felt like Luther knew that we all had great ears. That's one of the reasons that he hired us. But the other thing was, I think once I started dancing on stage, putting the singing with the hand movements on
Hmm.
going out of my head day and night and
Yeah.
day
Ooh.
and night, and singing the words. I think those things were, but I mean, we did it to the max, and Luther complimented how I performed on stage, but it was really a challenging thing because I had been sitting for so long.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Cindy and I would do the choreography with it, with Luther.
Right,
yeah,
So
yeah.
right. You started out there, right?
we do it from the chair, so it was a lot easier. But to me, recording parts that he gave us was all about delivery, and he would give us the
Hmm.
parts so clearly that if you couldn't get it, he questioned your ability. So
Right, right,
nothing
right. You're in the
actually,
wrong room.
nothing. He didn't have anyone in the studio that couldn't really sing the parts that he gave. From Tawatha to Fonzie
Right. Everybody.
to Cindy to Brenda White King, myself, sometimes Kevin, sometimes you know, he would give us parts that he knew we could handle. And I just feel really blessed that I was there all the time for all that stuff. He had me singing with the guys a lot of times too, because
Okay.
I have such,
Yeah.
yeah, I have such a, I'm a contralto with a very wide range, so he would have all of that.
Well,
Yeah,
the
So
but
thing that I always
I
thought
feel
was
blessed.
interesting, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that that he wasn't scared to take a new thing. When I came into the
Yeah,
situation, this was going to be a whole new thing for him, man. Working with drum machines, working with synthesizers, no band, just me and Marcus most of the time, and then seeing this, and he slowly understood me. You know what? I can make music this way, man. I really, he really like embraced. Once he got a grip on it, he knew exactly where it was, and we kept this formula going for a while. Nothing lasts forever, and I knew that it couldn't. And when I left, I knew that, you know what, man, I left everything on the floor. I had nothing left to give them. after that. He got 2 Grammys from the records that we did, 3 Grammys. And, I mean, I couldn't do anything. I was ready to go off on my own, But I would like to say the last time that I really saw him, if that's okay. Because I want to tell you something. Paulette was responsible for the really last time that I saw him. Because she told me that I had to go to the hospital to see him, man. And it was deep. That's all I can say. But the reality was, it was deep, man. But the reality was, he just was like, at kind of a place. Let me try to think if I can put this together. He was at this kind of place where, he was always looking for, like, what's next? Where can we go next with this? What can we do? And so I was not with them for 4 years. I hadn't worked with them for 4 years, and they called me up to come into the Hit Factory to help them with a song. And I was like, wow, man, that's cool. I'll come in. And everybody was like, oh, Jason's here, man. Oh, this is a trip. It was Marcus and them. So anyway, what happens is that the last day of the studio, I was in there, and I was calling up Kathy to tell her that I was coming home, It was like 2000 it was. And so we were 2001. We were about to turn 50. And before I left, he came in and he said to me, hey, Jason, man, thank you so much for coming by, man, and doing this. I really appreciate it. I go, hey, I had a good time this week, man. It's really cool. And then I looked at him and I said, hey, you know what, man? Because it was April. And I said, it was coming up in a couple of weeks, man. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, please, we look fabulous, don't we? He said, and I go, exactly, man, That's what Luther was, you know what I mean? It was like, the whole thing, we look fabulous. Oh, she was fabulous. You know what I mean? He had that little air of him, man, knowing how to bring the right thing in at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he
and
did.
the last time I saw him was, tragic.
I want to switch gears just for a moment because since we have some extra time, I want to make sure that each one of the 3 of you have the opportunity to really promote what you're doing right now, and then we'll go back to the questions from the audience, and I got a few more questions also. So why don't we start with Paulette? Tell us what you're working on now, what your current project is, how people can get it, tell us about your website, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because, I believe in promote, promote, promote. So go ahead, Paulette.
I agree. Thank you so much. My website is under construction right now. However, you can find me on Blue Jazz Records, BLUJAZZ.com records, and you can see me there. You can see videos there. I'm on my album, my new album. It's called A Woman's Story. It's doing incredibly well. As a matter of fact, Mark Ruffin and all of those guys over at Sirius have been playing my record. It's called A Woman's Story, and they're playing. I pay tribute to the men that were my bosses, starting with Marvin Gaye, and of course Luther Vandross, and also before them, I used to jam and sing with Donny Hathaway. Although he wasn't my boss, I wanted to pay tribute to him because if it weren't for him, I would not have been working with Quincy Jones. Donny Hathaway and I used to jam in Chicago, and he wrote a song for me called Talleyrand, and Tennyson Stevens wrote the lyrics. The song is called Chasing the Sun. And on A Woman's Story, it's a full circle moment because I put it on the album, paying tribute to Quincy Jones sent for me after he heard me sing that song. Phil Upchurch sent it to him. So the album is called A Woman's Story. It's doing really, really well. It's on every single platform. And I have videos. I have a video on one of the songs, In the Name of Love. I have a video that I did explaining my tribute to Luther called So Amazing. It's all on my YouTube channel. And you can find me on Instagram as the Paulette McWilliams. You can find me on Facebook under Paulette McWilliams, and on Blue Jazz Records, bluejazz.com. So
Okay.
there it is.
Okay, thanks. Kevin?
Right on, Paulette. Well,
Yeah.
actually, like I said earlier, I am finishing up my album. I'm going to release a single. It's called Hotspot. And actually, the other things that I'm working on are things that are in work in progress. investments are being put in place and things like that. So everything is being procured, scripts are being written right now, stuff like that. So actually, I don't have anything new coming at the moment, but mid-year, near the third quarter of this year, I'll be back and I'll have some new
Hmm.
product, um, maybe even a little movie thing going on. So, but right now,
Okay.
you can catch me on Instagram, Kevin, Facebook, friend me, just come on, I'm here, and I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, definitely let us know about that movie because we've actually been broadcasting movies with this new setup here on Soul Patrol. So maybe we can
Okay.
talk about
Nice.
that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no, we're gonna talk about it. So
Jason,
yeah.
tell us
Um,
tell us what you're working
okay,
on.
well,
Tell us.
I just finished an album with a singer I've been nurturing for 10 years. Her name is Rebecca Angel. We just had a #1 single on 5 radio charts with the cover of For What It's Worth. That album will be coming
Mm.
out in June. It's very special with amazing musicians on it because nobody's been working. So I got the best musicians in the world to play on it. You know, that are never
Mhm.
available. Now they're all available. So I got all my great friends to play on it, you know. And it's really a beautiful record. I'm very, very super proud of it. That'll be coming out in May. But I have an album out now on Rope-A-Dope Records. It's called Black Magic with my project Kind of New, and it was getting amazing reviews. And we had European tour set up and everything. And the week before the pandemic, and what happened was that everything got canceled. And so for all the great reviews and everything, the record just has been just hanging out, in a lot of ways because I couldn't. How do you promote it? You can just sell it so much online. So anyway, I decided that what I want to do is that I want to go to the label, and I told them my idea that I want to make 2 new bonus tracks that when the pandemic calms down, that we can digitally release it and add it to the record and everything like that to kind of give it more juice. And they loved it. So I just finished those 2 tracks. I'm going to mix them soon and everything. And so, that'll help me going into 2022 with that project, especially going over to Europe to do it. And the other thing is that I've been working on a one-man show that encompasses my book and a solo piano album and me performing. I performed it on the Soul Train cruise last year. I did 2 shows. I just did a show, and I want to take it all over the world. And it's called The Extraordinary Journey of Jason Miles, a musical biography. And I basically tell my story. I tell stories of working with Luther and Miles and all these people, and I put music in between. I got a nice backdrop happening with it and everything. So I hope to be taking that like everywhere because in this age of COVID, I can play smaller venues, the smaller crowds, and still get people into it, bring a special guest and everything with me, and that's a big focus for me right now because, look, man, I've done 250 albums, easily. And, there comes a time when you got to look back and smell the roses a little bit. I want my wife and I to travel together and so we can go to little towns and play my show, and do this. I played at the Hollywood Bowl. I played at, the great jazz festivals. You want to keep on doing that. But you also know that, you reach a certain place. How many times you play the London Palladium, you guys? You know what I mean? A place like that. How many people can even say that? You know what I mean? So you go, but you got to keep on exploring the next place. And then the next place to me doesn't necessarily have to be some huge, humongous thing. It has to be musically satisfied. And for me, I think that place for me to do it is in Europe because I went and I toured there, a couple of years ago before this past one, and it was amazing. The people over there really appreciate you and they appreciate your legacy. Everybody who you're talking to over here tonight has got a legacy. Okay. And in the United States, do we really care about the legacy that much? Not really. In Europe, do they really care about it? Oh, yeah, they really care about it. They are very astute as to what they're doing. But Luther Vandross, oh my God, Luther Vandross in the UK, give me a break, man. It's like you're like a freaking king walking down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
These people love their American music and their American musicians because they get it. And over here, we've just gone and let it kind of go. So these are the things that are kind of important to me. And I want to take my wife to some beautiful places I've been to, and play music, man. Music is my
So
other life.
so
So
Jason,
anyway, I'm
what's
at
your what's your
Jason Miles
what's your
Music.
what
JasonMilesMusic.com. It's my new website, man. I'm blogging and I'm selling music, buying music. But both Bandcamp, you can get my new album on Bandcamp. I got some autographed copies there. We have another album coming out, a double vinyl album to Grover with Grover Washington Jr. Grover Live. It's coming out next week. Double album Christine Washington and I put that together, and it's coming out on vinyl, gold vinyl, beautiful package. That'll be
Wow.
next week. It's happening. Yeah,
Nice.
that's a real
Wow.
labor of love. I miss freaking Grover, man. I can't believe it. So so I'm staying active. I'm doing everything. I'm writing my book. My book
Yeah.
is pretty crazy. It's gonna be.
Can I
I'm gonna
have-
have to get out of town after the book comes. Because if people read the thing, then I'm gonna have to get on the first plane and get out of the country. You know what I mean?
Can I add one quick thing, Bob?
Of course.
Go ahead, Paulette.
Okay, I just want to add one quick thing. I just want to add that my producer is Kamal Kenyatta, Grammy Award-winning producer that produced and won Grammys for Gregory Porter. And the musicianship on my album, just have to add, is absolutely phenomenal. I have Gregoire Marais, I have Terrion Gully, who plays drums with Diane Reeves and everybody. Yep. I have Trevor Ware on bass, who's played in Count Basie's orchestra. I have the most incredible musicians, and Kamal Kenyatta has put it together, and he and I are now working on another project. And by the way, my album's going to be coming out in Europe within the next few months with Paul Zahner, and he's also doing a vinyl on my album, A Woman's Story. So, I mean, I'm very excited because, and A. Scott Galloway has given me such a beautiful send-off with his review, and so many others. And I just want to say thank you because they are tremendous. The musicianship on the album is tremendous. And Gregoire Marais solos, and Curtis Taylor, who also plays on Gregory Porter's music, plays trumpet. Curtis Taylor has won Grammys as well, and he's playing trumpet solos on my album. So it's something to check out. I just wanted to add that.
Scott, well, you should know.
On my Facebook page. Visit me on Facebook.
I'm going to come back to you in a minute, Jason.
Oh, okay.
Paulette, you'll be happy to know that Scott had to split, so he didn't hear what you said. But I'm sure he'll pick up. Yeah, no, I'm sure he'll pick it up on the backside.
Paulette will get on the phone and call him and tell him, check my record out, Scott. He's like, come on.
Oh no, he already
he's gonna wait to see from
He was the
Paulette.
first. He gave me reviews, an incredible review months ago. He already has.
He's a great cat, man. He's a real sincere cat.
So speaking of reviews, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, really thank Jason. Because I've been honored to MC a whole bunch of his shows here on the East Coast at everything from little tiny jazz clubs to the Berks Jazz Festival. So I wanted to thank him publicly for that, and also to let you know that his one-man show is really good. I've seen it, and I think people will enjoy it once he really gets it out there. So go ahead and tell them about your Facebook page, Jason.
Well, first of all, just to entice you for the women's show, you'll love the Anita Baker, Luther Vandross story. I'm sure you two got some stories about that also. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we know.
Okay, there you go. Right. My Facebook page, Jason Miles. Come and visit me. I have a couple of pages for some of my different projects, kind of new. But come and visit me there. We have spirited discussions all the time. That hopefully has not gotten me into trouble yet. And then I have Twitter, @Jason Miles, Instagram, Jason Miles Music. My website is www.jasonmilesmusic.com, and a lot of cool stuff there. I got a lot of nice pictures from the past, a lot of nice pictures and music, blog, all of this stuff. The regular website bullshit. You know what I mean? So if you're interested in that, you'll come and see me, and there you go. And Bob, I know Bob a while, man. Bob and I go back like about 15 years now. We really do. He worked on Miles to Miles album, and was really knocked out over it. And he turned me on to Scott, and he was a real big help promoting that record. Real big help. He really was. So thank you.
It was my pleasure.
You see some good shows, my man. That Soul Summit show, man. That was a freaky.
The Soul Summit, the Weather Report show, the Sly and the Family Stone show. I mean, all off the hook.
So what do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? You ready? Let me just give you a quick one. Ready? I'm thinking about another Soul Summit project, okay? Under the guise of Soul Summit, the way it is. Ready? Soul Summit plays the music of Booker T and the MGs.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm thinking about doing. 4-piece band, because I've been watching them, man. Come on, man. That is one funky ass group, man. Give me a
I
break.
know.
Al Jackson on drums. Hello, come on. So I'm thinking about doing that because I think it'd be a lot of fun,
What?
and I think coming out of the pandemic, people are going to want this kind of music, man, to make them feel good.
What? One last thought on that, and Kevin, you'll appreciate this. Do you know the song? So we were talking about slow jams before. "Show Me How" by the Emotions. Is it "Show Me How"?
Yeah,
Or is the
yeah.
other one? Okay. Booker T plays the organ on that song. I never knew that until about 6 months ago.
Wow.
All
He's
I
right.
a
never
bad
knew that.
cat. He's a bad cat.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let me get back to some of the questions. Speaking of the pandemic, um, we got a question out here from Ujima. Wants to know how you guys have been handling the pandemic.
Well, I haven't been, being I'm down here in Georgia, I don't have to go around a lot of people, so I've been handling well. But I do have to say that I tested positive 2 weeks ago. My daughter tested positive, and my wife, but everybody's negative now. So we wrote it
Hmm.
out here in the house. Everybody was fine. It wasn't nothing serious, nothing like that. So we're thankful for that. Everybody's fine. To me, it was just like the flu that used to come through the house and you pass it through, and everybody gets it. It lingers out, then it's gone. So, but since the pandemic, it has enabled me to concentrate more on me and what I need to finish for me and get to things that when we were on the road we didn't do. So that
Hmm.
it's allowed me to do that. You know.
Okay. And I guess in terms of the work, you've been able to have some extra time to do the writing that you were talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah, all of that
Okay.
stuff. Right here in the studio, I
Okay.
made finishing up my album. Stuff that I would just get pulled away on.
Okay.
Well,
And
let's get real.
Jason,
It
it's
sucks. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You know what I mean? Let's get real. It's freaking terrible. Okay? We're
Yeah,
creative, man. We've been stuck now in the house. I mean, in the house. We've been stuck here not being able to go out and make our vibe going on and everything. We've been in the freaking house for a year. Okay?
yeah,
Haven't
yeah.
gone anywhere except for the store and the
Right.
dentist. We've had 2 freaking root canals in the last year. Okay? That's my pandemic. And, lost my mother too, I mean, all of this
Oh,
Oh,
stuff, man. This has been just very
sorry to
difficult,
hear.
man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wife and I love her to death. We're together 51 years. We have spent the last year 24/7 together because I wouldn't let her go back to school, to
Yeah.
teach and everything like that, because it wasn't safe. So we've been here together, and it's really created It's really created. You see who you are, man. In moments like this, you
Yeah.
really see
yeah,
who
yes,
you
you
are,
do.
and you really see,
Well,
how it is, and I see all the imperfections in myself because of just how this whole thing, went down. And I can just say that, you have to double recommit yourself, man, when it's situation like this, man, to showing love and showing compassion and showing, people how much you really care about and cherish what you have. Because we're very lucky, man. We are very lucky,
yes.
man. We got to see a lot of stuff that 98% of the world never gets to see, you know. And now we're here, man, and it's at a point where, we're moving towards the next act, whatever that act is, and we're able to go and really do these reflections and see, you know what, man? We did a lot of stuff, man. Oh my God. Listen to that. You know
It
what I
is
mean? Listen to
also,
all of this stuff.
I'm sorry. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I,
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead, Paulette.
it is also really brought creative changes within us, those of us who have had
Oh
to
yeah.
find different ways to do something different. I've done a few virtual shows. I did where Scullers Jazz Club in Boston hosted me. I did a live thing from my living room that is on, that it is going over really well. Also, just recreating yourself because you're really forced to, you know, reinvent
Mhm.
whatever it is, I bring
Right.
some things.
True.
I have a cappella kitchen where I sing a cappella from my kitchen.
Yeah.
It's not the pale moon that excites me. I've been doing all that kind of stuff from my kitchen,
Mhm.
and so it's caused those kinds of things, writing, songwriting, because I've always been, like on my album, I have a song that I wrote with Tom Harrell, famous trumpeter Tom Harrell, and I know Jason, I know you know
Tom's
who he is.
amazing, man. He's
Yeah,
a
he's
brain
amazing.
genius.
So I wrote a
Brain
song with
genius.
him, but it's caused, it's actually pushed us in other areas. And the family
Yeah.
closeness is absolutely beautiful that has happened. My daughter, my grandchildren, getting closer with your family, having that bonding time that you wouldn't normally have because
Yeah.
everybody's running around doing their thing. I find it to be the most challenging for my grandchildren because my one granddaughter is 15 and she's at an age where this is the age where they go out and discover who they are, and they're being made to, shed in and,
Yeah.
so it's been
Yeah.
challenging for them, but we're finding different ways for all of us to be creative and do things together. Just like Jason is more with his wife, I'm more with my family, with my fiance, we're doing things more together. So it's kind of that, you get a different kind of bonding. I have a new dog. You do things
Hey.
that, the perfect time to train a little puppy because you're home together all the time. So, finding different ways to be creative and also, you know, thanking God for the blessings because there's so many people out there that are now homeless due to COVID. There are people out there. So, giving in those ways to help those people is very, very important. So all of
So,
those things are
yeah,
necessary.
we got about 10 minutes left. So I want to hit some more of these questions coming in from the audience. Um, Daryl and Sally, longtime members of Soul Patrol, they want to know what was for each one of you, and we'll make this real quick. What's your favorite song to perform with Luther?
Ooh,
Ooh.
I know. I'll let you go
Go
first,
ahead,
Kevin.
Paulette. Oh, okay, go ahead,
I can
Kevin.
make I can make it better. I can make it
I can
better
make it better.
because we
Okay.
had so much fun. Because that's really one of the ones I really got to dance and show off with. And Luther, remember Kevin when he showed the video of us performing and he said, "Look at y'all, look at Paulette, look at how she's doing it." Do you remember that? Yeah. So it's like because I was having so
Yes,
much
yes.
fun, because I'm a performer after being a harlot, and it was just so much fun. So that was my favorite song to actually perform on stage with him. I love singing that and performing that with him. And Kevin has a lot of, because you did it a lot, Kev.
Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
There's so many.
So many,
Oh,
right?
wow. You talking about
Pick
vocally,
one.
right?
Yeah, well, to perform with Luther.
Vocally performing, whatever.
Don't want to be a fool.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
what a great song.
I,
Hello.
yeah,
I love the
love that one.
Oh
choreography.
my God.
But there's so many.
That song
My
together was incredible.
sensitivity,
Yeah.
Yes, my
my
sensitivity.
Yeah.
sensitivity. I love because of the emotion in the choreography.
Yeah,
See, I connected vocally, but I also connected with my body and dance. So I got my
yes.
favorites all over the place, like Paulette said.
How about
Yeah.
you, Jason?
Well, I'm going to come from a totally different place because I didn't perform with Luther, I was always sitting out in the audience watching all you guys do it. And just a little side note, Luther once said, because he used to give us amazing seats. I saw the best seats in the house. So anyway, Luther was about to sing A House Is Not a Home. He said, "I'm about to sing A House Is Not a Home. And who do I see sitting in the fourth row but Jason? Totally changed the vibe of the whole thing. You know what I mean? I want to see some good-looking women. There's Jason sitting there with Kathy. So anyway, that was like a funny. But the favorite thing, I got to tell you, man, here it is. It's off of the Any Love album. And it's a song called Come Back. And
Yes,
what the
Come
vibe of
back.
that
Okay.
was,
Nice.
saying
what the
that.
vibe of that was was Luther really going and embracing what was happening in pop and electronic music because that was written by this group Scritti Politti, And Scritti Politti was a cutting edge band that did synth pop and everything like that. And David Gamson had a couple of songs and he played it for Luther, and Luther loved it. And David came to the studio and we put together this tune like a Scritti Politti tune, you know, which is very complex with all the little movements happening and everything in it. There's all these little parts going on. And we really sat there and really found the essence of the tune, man. And he really pulled it off. He really pulled it off. And yes, there's other songs I can tell you. Don't Want to Be a Fool is one of them. That was freaking awesome. We did that at A&M in LA. It was also Here and Now. Putting that together was amazing. You know, but some of them really like remember. The way that the vibe was. You know, doing Power of Love there and everything is. You know, I mean, but that song, that was something there that just said, you know, man, he's going for it, man. I said, you know. For him to go and bring Gamson in here and to take a really twist on this thing, and that album, no matter what anybody said, should have sold way more than it did, man. Columbia freaking screwed that up, and Luther came up with the best line in the history of the music business on that album. Here it is. I'm giving it to you people, okay? You're hearing it here first, all right? Luther Vandross, when that album came out and it wasn't selling like he wanted it to sell, he was in the studio and he said, you know what? I make the best pizza in town. It's the delivery system that gets it to the customer cold.
Right.
We have 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes left, guys.
Okay.
Let me see if I can squeeze one more in here. Savita wants to thank all of you for representing yourselves, Luther Vandross and Vandross.
Savita.
Savita. Okay.
She looks
Stuart,
so much like it.
Stuart Barnes wants to know your opinion of Luther's rendition of My Favorite Things, and
Nice
wants to know
album. Underrated album.
if any of you worked on Favorite Things.
He did a great job.
Wow.
Mac did an amazing arrangement on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
I
much
remember
better
it,
album.
man.
People give
I
credit.
love it.
That's
But
a much better album. That
Yeah,
Christmas
love
album,
it.
man. That thing holds
Yeah.
up, man. It really does.
Yeah, it really does. Great album.
It does.
So I think we have less than 2 minutes left. So what I'm going to do here is actually put a bookmark here. I think I got most of the questions. For those that I didn't get, all three of these guys are good friends of Soul Patrol, so we'll have them back again for sure, either for their individual projects or we might do a Luther too. But either way, you'll see them on here again. I know where they live. I got their phone numbers, so don't worry about that. So I want to thank you.
We didn't talk about
what did we miss?
Luther's love of wrestling.
Ah,
We never talked about that.
there's so much. People don't realize
Am I right or what?
because of who he was, how he did things, what we experienced, all the years together, all the ups, all the downs, all the stuff you saw, how it come together. Man, we could be talking for a long. It's so many great stories.
Well, let's save it. Let's save it. I'll have you all back.
Okay.
Right now, we got to jump off of here. Want to once again to end things. Thank you guys for coming on board here. You're always welcome here on Soul Patrol. I hope you guys like our new setup here. And for that, we can thank our sponsor.
Thank you.
And there's our sponsor's message. I want everybody to see that and to remind the audience, for any of you guys that have a business out there, you can get your business listed. It's a Black-owned company, and we're really proud. We're really proud that we have a sponsor. It's a Black-owned company. That's www.bizblack.info. So go. Okay, and that's it. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We really appreciate it. We will do more of these. Matter of fact, we got one coming up next week with a new young artist. I'm having a brain fart right now. Alex Harris Alex Harris has got the number 34 song on the R&B charts. And so we're pleased to have him on here. We're going to do an interview. We're going to play his new music videos, world premiere. And then we got a big one coming up on the 16th of March. Our producer doesn't even know about it yet. Miss Betty Levette is going to come in here. And as you know, she's been long associated with Soul Patrol. We're going to have her in here for an hour. So that's it for right now. Stay tuned to the website, and I'm out of here. Thanks much. Okay, I think we're off the air. Can everybody?